Okay, let's just jump right in, because what I'm about to tell you is going to sound like straight-up science fiction. It's a story about a banned miracle drug, a huge scientific crisis, and a discovery so powerful, it's honestly hard to believe. And the craziest part? The secret isn't in some classified lab. It's already inside every single one of us.
So, what if you could have a full-blown psychedelic experience? I mean, a deep journey into the farthest corners of your mind, but with absolutely zero drugs. What if the key to unlock all of that was already inside you, just waiting in your own lungs? And look, this isn't some thought experiment. This is the real question behind a technique that is both world-changing and, yeah, deeply controversial.
To really get this, we have to go back in time, back to a major crisis in the world of science. It's a story about this brilliant researcher whose entire life's work was basically made illegal overnight, which forced him to find a totally different way to unlock the human mind.
So back in the 50s and 60s, you have this guy, Dr. Stanislav Grof. He's a top psychiatrist, one of the leading researchers into LSD-assisted therapy. And after thousands of sessions, he was totally convinced this stuff was a miracle tool for healing deep, deep trauma. But then the counterculture explodes, and that triggers the war on drugs. In 1968, LSD is outlawed, and just like that, his life's work, gone, shut down. So what do you even do when your main tool is now forbidden? Well, Grof and his wife, Christina, they began this desperate search for a drug-free way to get to those same powerful states of consciousness. And guess what? They found one.
They called it Holotropic Breathwork, and the name pretty much tells you everything you need to know. It comes from the Greek holos, which means whole, and trepin, which means to move toward. So the goal, literally, is moving toward wholeness. It's about bringing all those broken, fragmented parts of yourself back together into a complete whole.
All right, so how on earth does this actually work? Let me be clear. This is not some 5-minute meditation you do on a wellness app. This is a highly structured, incredibly intense, and, let's be honest, a completely grueling ritual.
Okay, so here's how it goes down. First, you've got the partner system. You're paired up. One of you is the breather, you're the one going on the journey. The other is the sitter, and their only job is to be a silent, safe presence. They don't guide you, they don't talk to you, they're just there. Second, and this is the absolute core of it, the engine. The breather lies down and just starts breathing, way faster and way deeper than normal, in this continuous circular pattern. There's no pause between the inhale and the exhale. It's just a constant loop of air. Third, the soundtrack. This is so critical. The room is just flooded with loud, powerful, evocative music. It usually starts with intense, rhythmic drumming to build up the energy, then it moves into this deeply emotional music, and finally it brings you back down for a gentle landing. And last, you have a trained facilitator. They're there to hold the space and can offer support if a breather gets, stuck somewhere in their experience.
And this is the part that just blows people's minds. That continuous, circular breathing, you don't do it for 5 minutes or 10. You do it for 1 to 3 hours, non-stop. The sheer physical and mental intensity of that is almost impossible to imagine until you see it.
So, why would anyone put themselves through this? What is possibly happening in the mind that makes this worthwhile? Well, this is where we get to Grof's most radical idea, a completely new and kinda shocking map of the human psyche.
Okay, here's the core concept. Grof's theory is that trauma, grief, fear, all that stuff doesn't just disappear. It gets lodged in our minds and our bodies as blocked energy. The intense breathing and the powerful music, they act like a turbocharger for your consciousness, forcing this blocked energy up to the surface so it can finally be experienced, processed, and let go.
And he found that people who do this consistently have experiences that fall into 3 main categories. First, there's the biographical level, reliving really powerful memories from your own past. Second, the perinatal level. And this is where things get really, really strange. People started reporting, in vivid detail, re-experiencing the trauma and the ecstasy of their own birth. And third, the transpersonal level. This is where the experience goes beyond your personal identity entirely. People report feeling like they've become one with the universe, or connecting with their ancestors, or even embodying the consciousness of an animal or a tree. Seriously.
And deep inside that transpersonal realm is an experience so profound, they had to give it a special name, the cosmic joke grid. It's described as this sudden, overwhelming aha moment, a moment of absolute blinding clarity where you suddenly get it. You see that all of life's drama, all the struggle, all the pain, it's all part of a grand, divine, and ultimately playful cosmic game. People who experience this talk about this feeling of immense joy and liberation, like the weight of their entire life just vanished in an instant.
Now, we have to talk about what is easily Grof's most controversial and, frankly, mind-bending theory. The idea that the physical process of our own birth creates the fundamental blueprint for our entire psychological life. He called these the 4 basic perinatal matrices, or BPMs.
Okay, so it starts with BPM IHE, cosmic unity. This is the state of the fetus just floating in the womb before labor begins. There are no boundaries, no needs. It's just this feeling of oceanic peace and blissful oneness with everything. But then comes BPM 2, the no exit. The uterine contractions start, but the cervix is still closed. That blissful, peaceful universe suddenly becomes a cosmic trap. The fetus is being crushed by this immense pressure with absolutely no way out. People who re-experience this in breathwork report these overwhelming feelings of pure existential terror, claustrophobia, and total hopelessness.
Next up is BPM 3, the death-rebirth struggle. The cervix finally opens. Now there's a passage out, but it requires a titanic, agonizing fight for survival. This stage is pure struggle, aggression, and this intense warrior-like energy as the fetus literally pushes its way into the world.
And all of that leads to the final stage, BPM IV, liberation and release. This is that explosive moment of birth. The agonizing struggle finally ends in the sudden, overwhelming rush of freedom. It's an experience of total surrender, of ego death, and a triumphant rebirth into a completely new reality. Okay, that is a wild, wild journey through the mind. But what is actually happening in the body to make any of this possible? And maybe more importantly, is it safe? Let's get into the hard science and the absolutely critical safety warnings. If you look at it from an inside-the-body perspective, it's a pretty clear chain reaction. Step 1. That intense, rapid breathing, which is just hyperventilation, causes something called hypocarbemia. All that means is you have less carbon dioxide in your blood. Step 2. That lack of CO2 leads to respiratory alkalosis, which just means your blood's pH level changes. Step 3. This pH change triggers something called cerebral vasoconstriction, fancy term for the blood vessels in your brain tightening up, which reduces blood flow to certain areas. And here is the key. This disruption of normal blood flow seems to quiet down the brain's default mode network, which some scientists call the ego network. It's what gives us our normal sense of self. The result is an altered state of consciousness that is remarkably similar to what's produced by classic psychedelics like LSD or psilocybin. But, and this is a big but, changing your body's chemistry this dramatically is not without risk. Physically, people can experience dizziness, muscle spasms, even fainting. In very rare cases, it can create the potential for seizures. And the psychological risks are just as serious. I mean, releasing blocked trauma can be completely overwhelming. It can lead to panic attacks. And for people with certain pre-existing conditions, it can lead to what's called decompensation, which is a really dangerous breakdown of their mental state.
And that's exactly why the list of contraindications is so incredibly important. This is not for everyone. If you are pregnant, if you have a history of seizures, severe cardiovascular disease, glaucoma, if you've had recent surgery, or if you have a severe mental illness like unmanaged psychosis or bipolar disorder, this practice must be avoided. It is simply too risky. End of story.
So here we have this incredibly powerful technique, born from rebellion, that can unlock the mind and heal trauma. A whole journey you can take with nothing but your own body. But what happens when the tools of liberation fall into the wrong hands?
In a world of AI, constant surveillance, and corporate control, could a technique designed to set your mind free become the ultimate prison? The scary part is, it's already happening. Find out how in Part 2.